When we hit the road about a year and a half ago in this RV, Jess and I's question was, how do you pretty much do everything? How do you pack up and get it ready for transit? How do you not make anything fall? How do you organize your stuff so it doesn't fall during transit? And once you get to the campground, how do you set this thing up so it's ready to live in? Those were our questions a year and a half ago, and we're gonna answer those questions for you today so you can hit the road in style and in confidence. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Trey. Me and my fiance has been in this RV for a little over or close to a year and a half now. And this week we've been here in Layton, Utah, which is about 40 minutes north of Salt Lake City. And honestly, it's a beautiful campground. You see each and every single site has a concrete slab for your RV, and it's just so nice. Little grass sections between each site, and it's very spacious. And the town of Layton, and even like I think it's called Kaysville, everything is less than a mile away. Like everything that you want, Target, Walmart, wherever. So if you're looking for like a good base to stop by for you full-timers, this is a good spot to stay. And today, instead of taking you on a normal like travel vlog or like exploring some national park, I really wanted to take some time and answer a specific question or some questions that I had when we first started out. And with about 18 months of experience, I think we finally have those answers. Today is a light travel day for us. We only have about 4 or 5 hours, and we're moving from Layton, Utah, all the way up to Swan Valley, Idaho, where the Grand Tetons are. So we're essentially going from Salt Lake City to the Grand Tetons today. And we're gonna show you how to pack up like a pro, how to hit the road like a pro, and once you get there, how to set up like a pro. And by the end of this video, I'll be able to hand you the keys and you'll be able to do this whole entire trip like a pro. Question 1. How do you pack up the RV and get it ready for travel? When you first get your RV from the dealership, there isn't really gonna be much to pack up. Everything's pretty much gonna be ready for you. But when you bring it home and start filling it up with stuff, that's when you're really gonna have to start organizing and getting it prepared for travel. Do you just simply start bringing in the slides? No, do not do that, because we have some pre-packing before the real packing of everything begins. Jess and I are inside out type of crowd, meaning we start on the inside of the RV, start packing all that up first before we move to the outside of the RV. Now, we can do some things simultaneously, but for the most part, we pack up the inside before we move to the outside. Our fifth wheel is a Jayco Eagle, but most other fifth wheels may look and feel the same way. And we're gonna pack up the living room, the dining room, the kitchen. It's all honestly all the same area, let's be honest. For Jess and I, the main areas of concern is making sure everything is strapped down, like the chairs and bar stools. Really anything heavy that can move but should not be moving. Take a good look around your RV before hitting the road and try to imagine an earthquake. What would likely shift and shake? Now, ask, how can I prevent that from shifting and shaking? Okay, so this is what everything typically looks like when it's all packed up and ready for transit. But are we done with the living room just yet? No, because I personally love to clean up, sweep, and mop one last time. And the reason for that is, one, because I don't have to do it when I get there, but two, for the slides. So you're gonna have your slides right here, and you see all that dirt and debris already. So you wanna get that out from up under the slides before you bring them in, so it doesn't get caught in the slides. Imagine like dirt getting in gears and stuff like that. That's kind of what it's like whenever dirt gets in your slides, and it just gets that gunky, like grimy, kind of sandy noise in there. No bueno. Once you have those items secure, it's time to move on to the fridge, which is probably what gives Jess and I the most anxiety possible. And Jess normally packs and prepares the fridge while, we're doing other things, but she just had all 4 of her wisdom teeth removed on Friday. So I'm gonna voice over and she's gonna show you how to pack up the fridge. The first thing is to reorganize all the heavy items down to the bottom shelf. Then we take the eggs and put them in the outdoor fridge because it has been a game changer for us. Another thing that can help keep the fridge in order are these little crossbars we picked up from Amazon that can keep everything nice and stable. But the biggest tip we can offer here is to always travel with an empty fridge, or try to travel with an empty fridge. When we first started out, we would fill up the fridge before we traveled and would always come back to shelves out of place and down and broken and damaged groceries, and eventually we just opted to buy groceries when we got to our campground. But If you must travel with groceries, this is typically how it looks, but yours will probably be a bit different. The last step for the fridge is to secure the doors with a little strap. So now that the living room and kitchen is now ready to go, all you want to do is just copy and paste that same method for the bathroom and the bedroom. Now Jess is great about this part that I'm not so good at. Always make sure your sliding doors in the bedroom, if you have them, are latched, the bathroom door is latched, and then the sliding glass door for the bathroom for your shower area is latched as well. And if you want, just go ahead and make yourself a checklist while you get used to this new mental process so you don't miss anything. Once you have the inside ready, we like to go ahead and bring in the slides. Typically, Jess is inside on the control panel and I'm just outside giving an extra eye. I have come to love bringing in the slides right after packing up the inside, because the next step after that is to pack up the sewage, the water hose, and all the cords on the outside, and I don't like having a slide being in the way and having to crawl under something. Alright, so once you have the inside packed up and you have the slides taken in, you can go ahead and move on to the outside, which is fairly simple. All you gotta do is pack up your water hose, sewage, and your power cord. And big tip here is if you can keep the underbelly of your RV organized, that's going to help you out a lot in the long run. Time to pack up the outside, which honestly isn't really all that hard. All we're going to do is bring in the water hose, the power cord, and sewage items. You've probably heard this many times, but if you can keep the underbelly organized, you'll thank yourself many times over in the future. Most rigs nowadays have a control panel near the underbelly of the RV that controls the jacks and the leveling system. What we want to do is set the RV to hitch height so we can scooch old Appa back here in place. Question 2. How do I hitch up to the RV? When it's time to back up, some people use walkie-talkies, and others just call each other on the phones when it's time. But this pro is going to do it all by himself with nothing but pure intuition and grit. Just kidding, Jess isn't feeling well, so I'm just going to try to get this in place. One of the most uneasy parts for me was lowering the RV onto the truck for the first time. Just seeing the suspension lower and just trying to see for the first time if the truck can handle the weight of the RV. But we're going to go back to the control panel and start the lowering process and getting hitched up. What I like to do is lower the RV just enough for the truck to have some of the RV's weight, but not all of it. Next, it's time to connect the kingpin, which physically secures the RV to the truck. And then your 7-way cable, which is your electrical and trailer brake connection. Then lastly, your emergency trailer brake wire. That in the unlikely event of your RV disconnecting from the truck, this wire will pull a pin which engages the RV brakes to stop. It's time to finish lowering the RV onto the truck. My favorite method by doing this is using the retract all, which brings up all the jack stands simultaneously. If yours doesn't have a retract all, you can always bring them up by hitting the down arrow. Once the jacks are fully up, we want to completely take up the legs by removing the pins and sliding them up as far as it'll go. And the last thing you really want to do before you leave the site is do kind of like a last walkthrough, and I like to turn on the hazards and kind of do like a lights check. Make sure all of the lights on the RV are working. So let's go ahead and do that, shall we? Lights check going on. Perfect. And we ended up getting a hitch extender, so I'm hoping this is going to work. The only thing I didn't like was this rattled a little bit, so I went to go get an anti-rattle cage for it, and looks to be working perfectly. And make sure all the lights are good to go. Perfect. So all we're going to do now is do a tug test, and all that is pulling up your RV maybe 100 feet or 300 feet, whatever, and making sure everything sounds smooth. No squealing, no scrubbing, nothing. Everything sounds very fluid and is working like it should. Now it's time to say goodbye. The staff literally stepped out the door and waved us off and head on out to the open road. Sorry it took us nearly 10 minutes to get here, but it's important we take some time and get it right. Question 3. Is there anything to look out for when hitting the road? Call me crazy, but I don't like going above 65 miles an hour, even in like the higher speed zone limits. I'm going to stay in the right-hand lane because it's not really the speed that's the issue, it's the slowing down immediately when somebody tries to cut you off. All right, so when you pull in a gas station, one of the things I love to do is try to plan my exit before I even get in. And usually what that looks like is getting one of these in spots, Typically, if you get one of the middle spots here, it's hard to really like turn, especially if you have something as long as we do. We have a 36-foot RV. In my opinion, you've already done the hard part for the day. Packing up and setting up are usually the time consumers of your travel day, and hitting the road is one of the more relaxing aspects of the travel day. Notice how I left a lot of room between the pump and the truck, and that's so I can swing out and go that way. I have learned, because if I get like right up how I normally would whenever it's unhitched, I always come close to this yellow bumper here with the RV. As far as what I would normally keep an eye on, it's mainly this cluster here, the coolant, oil, and transmission temperatures. Only once has the transmission temperature started overheating, and that was climbing over the Teton Pass last September. Today's drive is gorgeous, about 70 degrees and partly cloudy, and a bonus that not a single car tried to cut me off today. Something about Idaho in the spring is just refreshing. It's so green out here. One thing when you're on the road and you're driving is you always have to keep in mind where you are geographically. Like if you're in Arizona or New Mexico, there's high wind areas, there's dust storms, all those kind of things. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're out in the mountains, just know you're gonna have to keep an eye on mountain passes whenever you do your routes. Just kind of look and see if there's any mountain passes in your day trip. But our trip today is relatively flat, so we don't really have to worry about neither the dust storms or the high wind areas or the mountain passes. So we got a relatively chill day today. And a few hours later, we arrive in Swan Valley, Idaho. All right, so we just made it in, and we're at the clubhouse now, and Jess was on the phone with him and said that we're Site 9. So what we're gonna do, leave the truck here, and we're gonna walk to Site 9 to kind of see what's the best route to actually come in and get situated, because that's very important. Used to, we would just drive around and see just kind of how we can back in, and we would waste a lot of time doing that. So let's just go walk it, and then we're gonna drive to it. Funnily enough, as soon as I started walking it, we get a text from the camp host with the best route to back in, which made our job a bit easier. Question 4. How to set up once I get to the campground. All right, so one of the biggest things you're going to want to do when you first arrive to your site is kind of just walk it. Like we just walked to see where our site was. Now you want to walk it to see where your electrical connections, your sewage connections are, because that's going to be a big part of where you park your RV. Some people will even grab their surge connector and plug it in just to see if it works. But I've been to this campground before, so I'm pretty certain that the power is going to be on. And what I'm going to do now is just kind of see where my power pedestal is right here, my water connection's over there, and then my sewage is right here, to kind of get a firm understanding of where I want to really park the RV. Depending on who you ask, you'll get a different answer on how to position your RV. We like to go deeper into the site and closest to the pedestals so we have plenty of space for our steps to come down. So we found a good spot for the RV. Now, is it time to unhitch? Nope, not yet. And the reason is because we want to see if the sewage, the water, and the power will reach the pedestals from where we have it. I'm pretty sure the water and the power is going to reach, but we want to make sure the sewage that goes all the way to the very back for the kitchen here will reach. So that's what we're going to do, is just see if it'll reach. If not, we already have the truck hitched up, so we wouldn't have to hitch back up and move it. We already have it hitched up. All we have to do is pull it forward to go backwards. This is why we keep the truck hitched up, is because this is the sewage here, and we were literally that far from connecting, and that is with 2 extensions to our normal hose. So we probably could make it work, but we don't want to stretch out the hose, especially if we're going to be here for a month. All right, Jess, we'll pull up just a few inches. A little bit more right there. Yep, that's it. And so now it can fit no problem. One of the first steps is letting down the jack stand some. Tip here is try to get them as even as you can from right to left from touching the pads. Okay, so now we have our jacks down. We have our blocks in place for the rear and the front. What we're gonna do now is put the wheel chocks on before we unhitch. That's gonna be our next step. So when it comes to unhitching, just like how we hitched up, I want the RV to support half of its weight while undoing the kingpin. I don't want to lift it all the way up so the truck suspension will go all the way up and then unleash it and then the truck will just slam down. I don't want to do that. I want to just raise it up just enough to get the weight, majority of the weight or half the weight, off of the truck, undo the kingpin, and then go the rest of the way from unhitching. So that's what we're gonna do. Now, with the kingpin unlatched, we can go ahead and raise the RV off the truck. And right afterward, remember to disconnect the 7-way and the emergency brake wire. Before we hit the auto level on the RV, we want to pull the truck forward and get it out of the way. And we can go ahead and auto level the RV, which typically takes a few minutes, and we can start bringing the power cord and all the hoses out. Remember when we were packing up and we wanted the slides to go all the way in before taking up the sewage hose? We're going to do the same thing now. Before we bring out the slides, we're going to go ahead and get everything connected, the power, the water, and the sewage before we bring out the slides. I think that nearly every RVer will set up a bit differently. For example, as soon as I have the water hose connected, I like to go ahead and fill up the black water tank with some water. Tell me you guys aren't just leaving the valve open, right? While that's filling up, let's get the power hooked up, and our rig uses a 50 amp plug-in, and our site is only 30 amps, so we'll have to use this adapter. Keep the breaker off until you have everything fully connected and seated. Then flip the breaker, and voila. You have power now. And guess what? It's time to open the slides. One step closer to making this place home for the next month. The only thing left to take care of are the pups who have been patiently waiting in the truck and setting up the Starlink. One of the last steps is to open this fridge and see where we're at. I'm gonna give you guys a live look to see if these T-bars or these crossbars work and if you should add them to your Amazon list. Ready? So the fridge looks good. Oh, wow. I think this is kind of the neatest we've ever had it. I mean, it was kind of a shorter travel day. Let's see. Well, that's just holding it there, but perfect. Did the eggs make it? All right. Do we have any busted eggs? I just put a little roll of paper towels in there to help it keep it stable. Any cracking going on there? Nope. Good to go. And good to go. Wow, okay. And that's it, guys. All you have to do now is run out for groceries and enjoy your stay. And congratulations for successfully traveling, packing up, setting up, and getting there to your destination. And enjoy the memories to come. And I hope Jess and I was able to help reduce some of the stress that can come about when you're traveling with your RV. For the next month, we're gonna be right here in Swan Valley, Idaho. I mean, look at this, guys. This is absolute paradise, and I think we're just going to be mountain biking, hiking in the Tetons, of course, and I think we're going to do some paddle boarding on Jenny Lake, and there's a reservoir about 10 minutes away from here, and I hope to see some bald eagles because we saw one on the way here, and last year when we were here in September we saw some in the park, and I want to be able to photograph some a little bit more this year. And if this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome. And if you like hiking and the outdoors, exploring and learning more about the RV life, feel free to give a subscribe to the channel because that's all we really talk about here and that's all we really do. I love being outside. That's kind of my thing. This is why I chose this lifestyle, and that's what we do every single Sunday. So we'll see you guys next week as we are going to go explore the Grand Tetons for a second time. Peace, much love, and we'll see you next week.